Nicki Minaj calls JD Vance the assassin on stage with Charlie Kirk's widow, Erika, then goes silent. I'm sure you guys have seen the latest piece of Nicki Minaj vouching for
MAGA.
100%. Yeah.
White. What's Jay always say? White approval.
White approval.
White approval, essentially. What it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you guys have any comments on what you saw?
Nick and I are in the clubs in various places, and Nicki's music has been ice cold for a minute. You know, even when she had that supposedly #1 song with the Rick James sample, I remember I kind of surveyed some DJs. I was like, "Are any of you playing this?" And the answer was no. You know, there's this. I think this is part of a thing to stay relevant in the news cycle. I also think it's puzzling because where her music does do well is still amongst the gay community, and everything that happens at Turning Point is so diametrically opposed to anything that has to do with our friends in the alphabet community.
Somebody doesn't know how to read the room.
Yeah, and so I thought this was a puzzling, you know, for those of you who do wrestling, heel turn. Even though, like, some people would say she's been a heel this entire time.
Because she's also been pretty, I guess the other piece that you're speaking on is she's been pretty, like, anti-trans with her statements, right? Is that kind of what I haven't been following her very closely.
It's some of that, and then all of a sudden she's so concerned about Christian persecution, rather, in, you know, parts of Africa, which is... Okay,
she's also not a U.S. citizen.
There you go.
Oh, come on, Nick. Come on.
So given what's going on with ICE, I don't know the full story with Nicki. I'm not a stan. I'm not a barb. Apparently, right? Her not being a U.S. citizen, and maybe is it her husband or family member or some
other
husband got a lot of stuff going on.
Her husband's on one of those lists to where, like, he can't be near
her brother.
Schools.
Her brother's locked up.
Yeah, her brother and her.
So this might be a pardoning issue.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Yeah, but those are state situations, so there's only so much, even if she cozies up with MAGA, that Donald Trump could do.
What are rules right now?
You're right. You're right.
We've seen that firsthand.
I mean, the thing that comes to mind for me is everything that you all have said, but also who are we putting stock in? Like some of these people, like some of the artists that everybody's got a right to say what they want, but there's so many people that are putting stock into what the rappers say, or people are choosing rappers to come up and be on the stage. And I'm like, who are we really putting our stock into as it relates to their comments and that we're taking seriously on a day-to-day basis?
That comes from politicians that don't know what's really going on.
That's fair.
Here.
That's fair.
And then these artists whose careers are tanking generally choose that route to align themselves with that. So we've seen the same thing happen with Amber Rose, Lil Pump.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, Chrisette Michele performed at an inauguration, and she hasn't been the same since as far as popularity wise.
Facts.
Nicki's star is falling from the sky. There are people like Cardi and Glorilla and Lotto, Megan that are taking her spot.
Dolce.
Nicki needs a way out. And to Nick's point, she is not a U.S. citizen. She's leaning on Christianity and how they're being persecuted over in Nigeria.
Which is a pivot.
Yes. She's standing with Israel because that aligns her with the Charlie Kirk folks or whatnot. But for her to have that, the assassin slip was crazy.
Yeah.
Hold on. So what did she say? What happened?
So she's describing her
love for JD Vance.
Yeah.
Well, first she started out, this is what was real stupid. She started out gloating on Trump, talking about our handsome, dashing President Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And then she went into, and JD Vance, the assassin.
Wow.
Mind you, this woman just had a husband that was assassinated.
Come on.
He wasn't assassinated. He was just shot.
Well,
But
you
come
can say
on,
what you
Terry.
want. I mean, either
Come
way,
on.
he was
Well,
shot.
he died.
Yeah. Getting shot is being assassinated at the
Come
end of the
on.
day.
They assassinate presidents and people who are actually doing
he's
things.
not MLK. Let's just make that.
Let's chill on the whole.
Let's get that out.
But
of the
Yeah,
way.
JFK was assassinated.
He was definitely assainated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was
Potato,
assassinated.
Yeah.
I mean,
And what's crazy for her to say that JD Vance is the assassin, because they've been aligning her with JD Vance, not Nicki Minaj, but what's her name?
Erika Kirk.
Erika Kirk. And so for JD Vance to be the assassin,
That's wild.
that took him out type shit.
I
You
didn't
know what
see
I'm saying?
that clip.
she
That's
also
wild.
said, for boys, be boys.
Boys be boys.
There's nothing wrong with being a boy.
that's where she had to go after that, because it was like definitely like a moment of like, oh damn, did I say that?
This is in a way where I will shoot Nicki a little bit of bail, which she does not deserve. It's like,
why you shooting it then?
Because, this comes from a place of hurt, I'm convinced. Between the things that are happening with her family, where she's, her brother's locked up, whatever about her husband. I don't want to go too much into that because I don't want this video demonetized. And then, her father, her losing her father a few years ago. But also, I've said this on the show before, Nicki has done everything that the white folks in the ivory towers in the music industry have asked her to do, and they can't find a way to slip her one Grammy. They've given every other girl a Grammy. They gave Doechii got a Grammy. She don't barely have an album out.
She did.
Meg got like 3. They gave Doja Cat. Cardi got 1. And I think a lot of this comes from that place. I rapped about Bud Light. I did all this EDM stuff. I made the funny faces. I got the plastic surgery. And y'all can't throw me. Y'all could have gave me Grammy of, best rap song we won't care about in 6 months. And she'd have been happy to get it.
Focus on the wrong thing.
But because you see these signs of desperation when, she jumped out and immediately did a song with Snitch 9 because, he had the metrics to think, okay, that's going to be a number 1 song. These come from, I think, a level of frustration with the power brokers in the music industry. She's like, okay, well, if dealing with these white folks on this side is not going to help me, well, let me jump all the way over here. I think this is not, maybe these are real feelings for her. Maybe she wants to be, maybe she's a part of the far right, but I think part of it is like, you see Rock Nation and she has this thing with Jay-Z, even though Jay-Z, showed her love, in the beginning of her situation. I think this comes from a place of hurt. And I think it's the same thing with a lot of these
grifters.
Black conservatives who move into the grifter space. When you see how the story ends, you see, Stacey Dash is doing OnlyFans now. They're going to cast you aside.
Is she busting it open on OnlyFans?
I mean, yeah, if you got a credit card.
Well, shit.
But got a little excited there, didn't you?
But no, I didn't. That's just interesting to hear.
Oh,
yeah, but I'm just saying, this is not how you really write. When have we seen anything from Amber Rose since she decided to speak at the Republican National Convention? Like, they will cast you out when they are done with you, and I don't want to. Part of me doesn't care because of what she's done here, and she's definitely made her choice. But this is a scary game to play because you might have came to Turning Point this year, but you saw there was a whole bunch of people who were not white who tried to get into some Turning Point situations. Like, what's his name? I don't even want to call him Myron Gaines. He's one of those
and a Fresh and Fit guy.
Yeah, that's not his real name.
I didn't know that.
Oh no. He decided because he's his parents were immigrants. Shout out to the immigrant story. But he came over here and decided to just take him a slave name. He didn't even care. Like,
take him a slave
name. That's crazy.
Without even having to go through the blood, sweat, and tears of it all. But when it was time for them to go upstairs and he had on his very Nazi-ish shirt, that wasn't enough for those people. And so once again, they only have so much use for you. Do not be used in this way. If you really mean it, okay, there are probably platforms for you, but you are going to look. First of all, I saw this today. There is a video of Charlie Kirk saying Nicki Minaj is a poor role model.
Yeah, I seen that.
I mean, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B.
Okay, Nicki Minaj is causing dads to leave the home.
Hold on a second. I don't think that's a good role model for 18-year-old black girls. I don't.
These people will turn on you quickly once you are of no use to them.
Smells like it's inauthentic.
But you know what? I'll say this. They'll do the same thing on the left.
Yeah, they will
do
cast the same
you aside
thing
once you are of no use.
Well, you see what they doing to Candace Owens.
Well, Candace Owens don't rock. Like, there is a schism in parts of that side of the right because some of them are like, why are we giving this money to Israel? They don't. The old guard, they are all about Israel. The younger conservatives, they're not trying to hear all that.
Yeah.
So there's some infighting there, and but the whole Nicki Minaj thing is just weird. The whole thing with them is weird altogether. Like, and it's like when these celebrities need somebody to go to, because Russell Brand is another one of the celebrities that has gotten in trouble and has leaned on MAGA in order to kind of
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yes, clean up the
That's weird.
situation. It is. It's like that's who they run to because it's almost like they need these popular influencers and celebrities to be on their side, so they're welcoming them in order to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a cult.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is, and they're running with it, man. And it's like, I don't know, this whole Nicki situation is just something I didn't expect.
It's a pivot to me.
It's another level of a low. Like it's to have to go that far
Mhm.
is it's sad, really. Unless, to Jay's point, this is how she always has felt.
Oh.
I'm with Terry. I think the star falling. I ain't gonna hold you.
No, the star is definitely
I think
falling.
it is rapidly. It is falling.
Like
It
that.
is-
It's a thing where we've talked about before about how hard it is for female MCs to grow up. The way we met you, that's what we expect from you the rest of your career. And remember in the movie The Dark Knight when they showed Batman showed him, we saw Bane fighting,
yeah.
and he said, "Look at the ferocity, look at the speed." It's like when you are an older female rapper and you're trying to keep up and rap and shake ass the same way a 23-year-old is, it's hard. You know, if you haven't already transitioned into more thoughtful and adult content. Not adult, that sounds crazy to say adult content, but but more
Grown up.
more grown up topics. More, you know,
mature,
like,
yeah.
you know, if you're still knocking on 40 talking about bags and shoes and what you can get out of men, it's like, all right, you know, good luck with that. You know, it just doesn't, you know, when Lotto does it, I was like, all right, well, that's what girls her age do. You know, when you're talking about that, when you're 38, 39, 40 years old, it's like, yeah, shouldn't you have moved past this? And it's messed up because even on the other side, that's why I think Lauryn Hill kind of painted herself into a corner because like we look to her as this, you know,
Savior?
Yeah, almost a savior of the, you know, whatever we should think of women. And that's too much pressure to put on somebody to think they can come up with that kind of thing every 2 or 3 years.
Well, there's still the ageism. There's still the machine. There's still, I mean, there's so many layers to this. No single person is going to overcome all of these industry obstacles.
No, but I think we just talked about Nas and Jay-Z and these artists who came out on Mass Appeal.
For sure.
You know, De La Soul, you know, they get to grow up.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing I hate so much for female MCs. We just don't let them grow up.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
that's the lane they chose though.
It's
And
what
it
comes
comes
with it.
down to
It's the patriarchy, though.
yeah, it comes down to
That's what the
appeasing-
marketplace will accept. We won't
Right.
accept
Exactly.
grown women actually trying to rap, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, I don't know. We have Rhapsody out there. We have
She's super grown.
I
a
know.
Jean Grey. We
Grown.
have
But you're talking about with these women start off with a mainstream look. You know, as much as we love Rhapsody in this room, as much as there are people
like, where do they go from there?
Yeah, we don't even know who. There are people who are listening to us right now. They're like, "What are you talking about the X-Men for?"
well, whose fault is that though?
That's the mark. That's
I mean, because honestly, when you think about the path that these artists or rappers chose, and they're pigeonholed into a certain type of content, whose fault is that?
I think it's multiple layered. I think you can place a little bit of self blame because people are to our previous conversations. You're chasing something from a product perspective as opposed to an artistic. But at the same time, we can't like completely remove the patriarchy.
No, you can't.
Like we can't
True.
remove the fact that women have to exist in a male dominated space,
Right.
and especially in hip hop where it's, you know, you have to do one thing or we'll just ignore you
I
type
don't
thing.
know. There's an artist by the name of Queen Latifah that made a very successful career out of doing exactly what she wanted to do and pivoted where she wanted
you're
to
talking
go.
about
I think,
exceptions.
I
You're
think
talking about
she's a one-off,
exceptions.
though. I think
no,
Queen
but
is a
even
one-off.
when you talk about Queen Latifah, she pivoted away from rap. You know, at one point she put out the Dana Owens. She put out a jazz album.
Mhm.
Then she's more known. Some people don't even know that Queen Latifah is a rapper.
Yeah,
They
but
know
she ain't
her-
busted open though.
Well, that's true.
She
But at the
didn't
same,
pivot that far off the.
but at the same time,
That was
it's
never
like
her.
at a certain point, it's like, okay, as if I want to remain in the entertainment space, I have to pivot into this acting thing or singing or, you know,
Which she
doing
did
whatever.
well.
And she did it very well. But when we think about someone like MC Light, who actually put out
done
music,
the same, yeah.
But you know, a lot of people, we know her voice from the voiceovers. We know
She does
her
that.
acting roles. You
Yeah.
know, we know her as a legacy artist.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, like there's so many examples. Like at a certain age, it's almost like running backs in the NFL. It's like at a certain age, they're not checking for you anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think of is radio. Because you have Moni Love went to radio. You got
Okay,
you got
but they
Roxanne Shante
all
went to
transitioning
radio.
into something away from actually making records.
Heather B.
Heather B.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's like we have a value on them.
They're not
but
making those records
But
40 plus.
But after a certain point, it's like, okay, you better transition into something else, or you're done out here.
Right.
No, that's real. We gotta protect Heather B at all costs, man. I love Heather B, man. We gotta protect Heather B. No,
3D Nate T is another dope artist
Super dope.
that does not lean into that.
Facts.
And if you see her and never heard her rhyme, you could probably think that she's one of those type of artists, but she's not. You
If
know
she
what I'm saying?
chose
So
to pivot, she could pivot. But she chose to stay in the lane. I respect that.
If that's what she was about, but
That
she's
part.
staying true to who she is.
That part, yeah. No, that's real. That's real. No, I just think this whole thing is I just think it's a pivot, and we'll see how the play works. Is where I'm at.
I
That's
just
my
think it's
personal
sad.
opinion.
I think it's sad.
I'm not mad at you. Yeah, I'm not mad at you at all.
It's like,
Yeah, I'm
You
not
know,
mad.
but for some people, it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna go ultra right, or you know what, I'm gonna become a born again Christian, or I'm gonna, like, people have these pivots in their career,
Yeah.
and maybe, you know, that's what like at one point Kanye West was super religious, and we need to stop having all this porn and this, that, and then like he's just back to being wacky Kanye.
True.
You know, with the Black Klan robe on.
True.
and
Yeah, there's a
dating a
couple
woman
different-
that doesn't wear clothes.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah,
Open.
there's a couple different
Married
times
to.
of Christianity now. So like if you're leaning to that far right, because they love to say far left on everything, but there's definitely a far right when it comes to politics.
Yeah, those aren't Christians. Those are just special interest whites.
Come on.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's get ready to close this out. I know we on a
That was a very Jay Moore thing to say.
100%. 100%.